Ryan Brown joins us right now. Ryan, of course, co-host at The Next Round of thenextroundlive.com. The Next Round, by the way, just turned one. Just had a little birthday party. Brownie, what's up, my man?
I'm pretty good, Richard. How about you?
I'm good. Congratulations on it. You guys took a big risk, and it has, by all appearances, been really successful in the first year.
Yeah, it's really nice of you to say. I appreciate it. It has outpaced anything I could have imagined, and I think you probably know this. In a lot of ways, it seems like it has been 5 years. In a lot of ways, it seems like it's been 5 weeks. But the calendar tells me it's been 1 year, and that's hard to believe.
Yeah, it may have hurt your golf game a little bit. There may not have been as many opportunities to get on the golf course.
Yeah, I have learned that there were a lot of things when we were in radio that a lot of people did for us I didn't realize. So we do those things. We do those things for ourselves now, and it has hampered my golf just a little bit, but I still get out there enough.
There you go. What do you make of the news from the Big Ten? We've heard for a while that the TV contract was coming. We get the actual numbers today, and they're pretty staggering. I'm not sure that there is as big a gap as some people want you to believe there is going to be between the Big Ten and the SEC, but there is a gap, and the overall number is staggering.
Well, it is, and the gap is understandable too. I'm a SEC guy. I grew up obviously in the South and follow the SEC closer than I do anything else. So I'm not going to try to diminish it and be the SEC homer and beat the drum. This is a huge win for the Big Ten. I mean, there is no doubt to have a contract that averages out to $1 billion a year in media rights is remarkable. And as you said, there is some debate as to exactly what the gap is. I have seen the estimate of the SEC deal at $588 per year. So, maybe somewhere close to double. I don't know if that's even accurate there. But it's understandable when you consider the fact that the Big Ten has the media markets they have. I mean, geography tells you that the Big Ten is able to do something like this. And, they've got, even though I don't think anybody in New York actually cares about Rutgers, they do have a team in the New York market. They've got two teams people care about in the LA market. They are heavy in the Chicago market. Michigan and Michigan State are huge in Detroit. Indianapolis is a good market. Maryland is in Washington, D.C. Penn State's big in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. I mean, they've got some massive markets on that Eastern Seaboard. It's the reason that the, NBC Sunday night game loves showing NFC East games, because a lot of those same markets I mentioned are, in the NFC East, and they want to capitalize on those numbers. It's the reason that Fox pays more for the NFC than CBS pays for the AFC, because of media markets. And when you look at the SEC, we just don't have those types of markets here. Atlanta's a top 10 market. Nashville's a good market. There's some good ones, but nothing like what the Big Ten can cobble together for TV.
Yeah, when you're able to throw New York and Chicago and Pittsburgh and kind of up and down that Eastern Seaboard together, it certainly is a bunch of eyeballs. Does it feel like this is less about eyeballs, though, and more about the climate of live sports and just kind of a perfect storm? And then I guess secondarily, the Big Ten will get to do this again before the SEC gets to the end of its current contract.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC deal's not up until 2034, and the Big Ten deal's up in 2030. And absolutely, to answer your question, I think, just before Borky called me, I was reading a story on Twitter, Richard, that for the first time ever, streaming outpaced cable TV. So, streaming was the big winner in July, and that's the first time ever that has happened. So we are living in a different world where people are getting their entertainment in a much, much different way. And the thing that continues to win is live sports programming. I mean, I don't know about you in your household, but that is about the only thing I watch live. Is an actual game. Everything else is on demand, or I've DVR'd it. My wife and I go back and watch it later, or I go back and watch it later. The only thing I watch live is actual play-by-play sports, the NFL, college football, college basketball. And I'm not alone in that. And that's, I think, what all of your big networks have realized. It's what your streamers like Amazon and people like that have realized, is that is where the money is now, and that is not changing anytime in the near future. In fact, it's only going to get worse for the non-live sports programming. More and more people will be getting that on demand. And I don't know if they know how to deal with that in the future, but the networks have clearly said that sports is where it's at.
But you know what's so fascinating about that is the Big Ten just went back to a more traditional model. Sure, they've got the Big Ten Network, but that press release and the quotes from Kevin Warren were over and over about how important it was, and this was spin, for them to be on over-the-air networks, Fox, NBC, and CBS.
Yeah, and apparently there are reports, I think Richard Deitch of The Athletic, who covers kind of the sports media game, reported that Amazon actually had a higher bid than one or multiple of those over-the-air networks.
Oh, wow.
And the Big Ten was hesitant to put anything on streaming. And apparently they weren't interested in anything that was, Peacock or whatever. They wanted their games on over-the-air network. And, I mean, look, again, it's the NFL model. I mean, you look at the NFL, yeah, they'll put Monday Night Football on ESPN, but they sure won't put a Super Bowl there. I mean, that's why you'll see that soon enough the NFL games are moving over to ABC so that Disney can get the Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
Because the NFL, wisely, I think, wants their game on over the air. That is still what is going to reach, the most people for events that they can't get anywhere else. So it is it's just crazy to think about where, even when 2034 rolls around and the SEC does it, or when 2030 rolls around and the Big Ten does it again, what it will look like then. I mean, look how much has changed over the last decade. There's no reason to think it won't change that much more over the next 8 to 12 years.
I just want to switch gears. So we've got 3 or 4 minutes left. And I'm curious, if you take Alabama and Georgia and maybe even Texas A&M out of the mix, and I don't think Texas A&M belongs with those two, but it's because so many people are talking about them. What is the team, or who are the teams that you are most looking forward to watch to either confirm what you believe or debunk some theory that you have?
I guess number one would be Kentucky. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll stay in the SECs for both of them, Kentucky and Tennessee. I think Tennessee can go 10-2. They had massive defensive issues last year, and I don't know that they've corrected a ton of that. But I actually think, as good as they were on offense this year, I saw Heupel say they wanted to score more points on offense than their baseball team scored in runs. Well, that was, I think, 608 runs last year for Tony Vitello's team. So they want to score. I guess he's happy that they bowed out in the Super Regional and didn't make it to Omaha to score more points. But so 609 points, and we looked at it on the show today. I think they scored 511. So they got a ways to go, but I do think they've got room for improvement on that offense. And I think they'll lose to Alabama and Georgia and go 10-2. I said, by the way, the same thing about Ole Miss last year, that they would lose 2 games, one of them Alabama, the other one I didn't know, and I managed to get that one right. So we'll see if I can go 2 for 2. I guess the other one is Kentucky because, and I think I've said it on this show, and I'll say it again, if Will Levis is what all of these NFL evaluators in the media think he is, and Chris Rodriguez is the running back he's shown to be, and their defense is anywhere close to what Mark Stoops has always had, how can that not be a really good team? I mean, if he plays to top 10 NFL draft potential and they've got that defense to match, explain to me how they're not a really good team.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about Kentucky yesterday, and Haydad also picked them to go 10-2, and I guess probably had the same 2 losses that you did. I said I think 9-3 because I think Ole Miss is beating them in Oxford on October 1st. And it's not so much about one team being better than the other, and you may think I'm crazy for this. I just think it's going to be such a massive environment. I've said, and again, this may be crazy, it needs to be a night game, but if it is a night game, I think it's a top 5 atmosphere in Oxford in the last decade. That game on October 1st against Kentucky.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what will make it that atmosphere? Because there's a couple Alabama games that have been a pretty darn good atmosphere in Oxford.
You're right. You're right, and I would put those in that top 5 as well. But it's the first home SEC game. Ole Miss should be 4-0. I think Kentucky's going to be 4-0, and so it's going to be a top 15 matchup. And that's the game that you circle because if Ole Miss wins that game to get to 5-0, then it's Vandy and Auburn in the next 2 weeks, and a legit chance to be 7-0. Headed to Baton Rouge on October 22nd. I just think the stakes are massive, and it's going to feel like a big-time SEC environment on that Saturday night. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm really off base on that. But if both of those teams come in 4-0, I think it's going to feel as big as anything in Oxford has felt in a while.
Well, I hope you're right about that. I'd love to see that type of atmosphere. And I'll say this about Tennessee. Look at their schedule. There is a chance they're undefeated when Alabama comes to town. Alabama gets A&M the week before. They're at LSU the week before. So it's a tough game for both teams.
Yeah.
But imagine, Tennessee has never beaten Nick Saban at Alabama. That's how long it's been since Tennessee has beaten Alabama, for those that don't keep up with that series. Imagine if both those teams are undefeated in that third Saturday of October, what type of atmosphere that would be in Neyland Stadium.
And it actually is the third Saturday in October.